Right. So I've shared my screen and I'll start with the new Java project day 5 and we will look more on XPaths and CSS selectors. Right. So let me make a new class out here. Okay. And I'll again call that class Gmail, or I'll copy the Gmail class from yesterday into today's project. Okay. I'll add the jar files. Yesterday somebody was asking me, do I have to add the jar files again and again in every project? The answer is yes. Every is different. Every project can be having different jar files. So you have to add the jar files in every project. Okay. Now, when you go to gmail.com, fine. And suppose you are using Firefox, regular Firefox. Okay, and if you look at the XPath, right, the partial XPath, fine, not the complete one, the partial one. I'm sorry, right, let me open the browser. Right, if I go to gmail.com, okay, and I take the partial XPath with the Firebug. I have not checked the option generate absolute XPath over here. So this will give you partial XPath. Okay, right. So what we can do is we can take the XPath from Firebug. Okay, this is the XPath. Don't include the dot in the beginning. Okay, just ignore the dot. So this is the XPath which you get with Firebug. Fine, and I can use it over here. You can simply write driver dot find element by the XPath. This is the partial XPath dot send keys. Anything which you want to type in the text field. Okay. Right. So Selenium will go and type in the text field. So when you run this, hold on. You see that it types Selenium out here. Right. So you can use partial XPaths as well. Okay. Right. Now the thing is Firebug makes the partial XPath on the basis of the ID of the element. Okay. Right. For example, okay, I'll tell you, suppose I go to the website msn.com. Fine, guys, please keep your microphones on mute. We are recording this session. Right. Suppose I am going to the website msn.com. Fine. On msn.com, if I spy, say health and fitness. Okay. Fine. If I spy health and fitness, I get this kind of an XPath. Now, how is this XPath made? The thing is, this is our link, health and fitness. Okay. If you look at it in the annotation, Shri, I think you have joined the meeting 2 times. Okay, you can leave the meeting once because it's restricted to 25 people and you can vacate a position for a person. So I think Shri, you have joined it 2 times. Right. So now this is our link. This is the link, anchor link. Right. It can be correlated like this. In the XPath, it's in the end. Right. Now this link has got no ID. So the control moves 1 step above and it finds this li tag. This li tag is the 7th tag under the ul tag. This is the 7th tag. So this li tag can be related out here. Okay, right, fine. And under this li tag, there is a over this li tag there is a ul tag. Okay, you can double click on your screen, it will maximize. I have my font size maximized to the greatest value. Okay, so it traverses from this anchor tag to the li tag, and it keeps on traversing above into the divisions and all till the time it finds a division, a main tag with the ID main. So it starts the XPath from here. It starts the XPath from here because it's found a tag with an ID. Below this, there was no tag with an ID. So it starts building the XPath from this particular location. Okay? Right? Fine. So this is how the XPaths are calculated, the partial XPaths. Firebug will calculate them on the basis of the ID. If the element is not having an ID, it will keep on traversing up till the time it finds the ID. What if it never finds the ID? Okay, this is the XPath which you have got. Fine, this is the XPath which you have got from Firebug. Okay, it traversed from the anchor tag, it kept on traversing above till the time it found the ID. But what if you don't find an element with the ID? In that case, it will give you the absolute XPath. For example, this text over here, run account all of Google. I have the generate absolute XPath option unchecked. Okay, right. But if I look at the XPath of this, if I try to get the partial XPath of this text, what I get is the complete XPath. The reason being is that Firebug is unable to find any element, okay, any element with the ID between the HTML and the H1 tag. So it gives you the complete XPath in this case. Okay, right. So you have to be a little careful. Fine, when you are using XPaths. In this case, we can make our own custom XPaths as well, which I'll talk about in some time. Okay, right. So that's the thing. Fine. Now, yesterday I had talked about that whatever is the source code is valid on all the browsers. So if you write the code on Chrome or if you write the code on IE, right, it will be the same. The identifiers will remain the same. The identifiers will not change. Okay, ID, name, XPath, they will remain the same. Okay, now what if you have got Chrome? Fine, and you want to find the XPath on the Chrome. Okay, I don't have Firefox here. Suppose I have got Chrome here. Fine, this code will work on Chrome as well. Okay, but what if you want to calculate your XPaths on Chrome? You can do that. Okay, it's very easy. Hold on. Right, it types Selenium. Right, this code will work. It's not that the code will not work. Fine, but if you right click on it and you select inspect element, fine. As I told you, Chrome Inspector will open up. You can inspect the element in the Chrome Inspector. The element is highlighted in the Chrome Inspector. Okay, right. You can right click on the element and you will get the option copy XPath. So in Chrome, you can get the XPath like this. You can right click on the element in the page source and you'll get the option of copying the XPath, right? And later on, You can paste the XPath over here like this. Okay, you need to remove the double quotes, and this is how you get the XPaths in Chrome. Okay, in I there is no way you have to calculate yourself, right? So that's the only thing. Okay, right. All right, so there's a question being asked. No, Chrome will not give you the absolute XPath, it will give you the partial XPath. So the best way is to calculate them in Mozilla. Okay, that will always help you out. Fine. Okay. Now moving ahead. Look, if you look at Selenium, right? What does Selenium does? Selenium interacts with the browsers. Okay, right. You can um, hold on. If you look at the code, right? If you look at the code, right? So out here, just a minute. Let me get away with the console. Now, sometimes what happens, guys, is that people come to me saying that by mistake they close their console, and then they are not able to see the output, or by mistake they close their package explorer. Okay, and then they think that fine, where has everything gone? Okay, you can bring it back. You just have to go into Eclipse, show view, Windows, show view. Okay, you can get the view opened. You can click on Package Explorer, and Package Explorer view will be opened. Okay, Windows Show View. Okay, you click on Console, and the console view will open up. Fine. So this is how you work with this. Okay, right. This is how you build this. Fine. I hope you are getting this, because people come to me with this issue a lot of times. Fine. Anyways, now as I was telling you, this is Selenium code. Selenium is interacting with the browser, and this is what we'll be doing when we'll be learning WebDriver. We'll be seeing how to interact with the browsers. Okay. Selenium will not give you any reports. As a tester, you want reports. As a tester, you want multiple test cases to run together. Okay. So Selenium will never do those things. Selenium is the tool which is being made only to interact with the browser. It is not like QTP. Okay, it is not like QTP. Fine. Selenium is, hold on. In QTP, what happens? Everything is inbuilt. You to read the Excel files, to generate the reports and all, everything is inbuilt. In Selenium, there is no inbuilt features. Okay. In Selenium, you write scripts. These scripts will interact with the browser. Okay. But in case you want to generate reports, okay, you want to generate reports, right? Then you want to have, say, data from XLS file, XML files and all. Okay, so all these things, you want to run the test cases in a certain order. These are your scripts. You want to run them in a certain order. Okay, Selenium will not help you do all these things. Okay, Selenium will just be in this blue box in which you can write the scripts. That's it. Okay, to collaborate between everything, to make sure that everything runs as a project. Okay, you generate the reports, read the data, generate logs, take screenshots, store them. Okay, as I told you earlier, we take a centralized controller like a test ng or JUnit or something. Okay, and then we use it. Okay, these controllers we will be talking about. Right now we are just learning Selenium. Okay, in QTP everything is inbuilt. Okay, this controller calls the scripts in certain order, reads the data from the Excel file, generates the reports, logs, and all everything. Okay, right? Sometimes you want to run the scripts optionally. You don't want to run all the scripts together. Suppose you have got 100 test cases. You just want to execute 20 test cases. So features are present in TestNG and all through which you can accomplish this. Okay, right? Fine. So let's move ahead. Okay. Fine. Now, talking about CSS selectors. Okay, what are CSS selectors? Looking at the CSS selectors, they look similar to XPaths. Okay, if I copy this, sorry, this is, hold on, right, this is a XPath. Okay, to be more precise, you can keep the name of the tag also out here, input tag. Okay, right. So any of these can be an XPath, an input tag with ID email or star with ID email. If I want to write the CSS selector, it is similar in the way. Okay, you just have to write input with ID equals to email. This would be the CSS selector, or star with the ID email. There is no double slash and there is no @ sign. Okay, right. So hold on. Can you open browser with profile manager concept? Hold on, just hold on. I'll come over to it. I'm trying to explain you some other things. Okay, right. So now moving ahead. So as I was saying, the CSS selector. Okay, it's written like this. But the thing is, it looks similar. But the way it is calculated internally in Selenium, when the calculations happen internally in Selenium to extract the element from the page, CSS selector is little faster. But you will not see the difference with your own eyes, right? You won't see that and see CSS very fast. It's not like that. Okay, the difference might be in seconds or something, but CSS selector is little faster. Okay, right, and you can use it as well. So in my code, if I write instead of XPath, if I write driver dot find element by the CSS selector, you can use the option put the CSS selector dot send keys hello. Right, to run this, no, it will not make any difference. You can use anything. Okay, you can use CSS selector, you can use XPath. Sometimes if XPath is not working, probably CSS selector comes as a savior and it saves you. Fine. So it all depends. Okay, right. Now moving ahead. Okay, if the XPath is like this, for example, if I am on msn.com page and let's take a simple example. I want to take a simple example. Right. So suppose this is an XPath. Sorry, I got a little cold. Right. So how will you write the CSS selector? You'll write the CSS selector like this. That is element, any element, star with ID as this, Fine. Space a link space span. So slash is actually replaced by a blank space. Okay, right. So this CSS selector will also work. Okay, now if you have an X path like this, for example, just a minute, just a minute. I'll take this element with a little simple, yeah. For example, this is the X path. What does this X path represent? That there is an element search form. Under that, go to the second button. Okay. Remember when making X paths, I told you when you write the number over here. Okay. If there are parallel items. Okay, you have to go into the second item. You can put the second button here. Right. So if you want to make a CSS selector out of it, you can write like this. There is a form with the ID search form, and under that, okay, instead of just a minute, guys. Yeah. Instead of writing a backslash, you give a space. Okay. And for two, instead of two, you write colon nth child 2 like this. This is written. In case of a CSS selector, this text, right? So I hope you got my point. Okay. Is there anyone who's having any questions? Okay, this is how you make CSS selectors and correspondingly to the XPath. Okay, you can use anything in the project. It's not mandatory to use CSS selector or it's not mandatory to use XPath. Okay, it's completely your discretion. Fine. So that's the thing. Okay, right. Now, any yes, in interviews they can ask you to make CSS selectors or XPaths. Okay, there is a very high possibility. Okay, right. Now, there are three signs in. Hold on, I'll tell you. There are three signs, and in CSS selectors, these are the three signs. They are very helpful. Okay, right. If I write this sign means that starts with this dollar sign means ends with, and star means contains. Okay, right. Now if I write like, say, let's take this CSS selector. Okay, this means that input whose ID is email. If I write like this, input ID is, I put the sign starts with equals to EMA. That's it. That means an input field whose ID is starting with EMA. Right? Now, when is this used? Right? Are you getting my point? There are elements, right? There are elements There are elements on the page sometimes whose ID is completely varying. Okay, right? And but not completely. For example, if I go to yahoo.com, I always give this example to students, right? If you go to yahoo.com, okay, and let yahoo.com load just a minute. And if I type in hello out here, fine, you get this Ajax control, okay, auto suggest box. Every element would have an XPath. If you look at the ID of this element, the ID is something like this. Okay, I'll note it down over here. Now I know from my experience, right? I know from my experience that this ID is varying. Okay, every time this part of the ID always varies, and this part of the ID will remain constant. Okay, right. I know it from my experience because I've done this example before. So you don't want this part of the XPath to be present when you are writing the XPath. Okay, right. So what you can do is that you can actually um, use something like this, that the ID is starting with this. Okay, when you make the CSS selector. I hope you got my point. Fine. Okay, right. So it is very important, and similarly we have the concept for ends with, and similarly you have the concept for contains. Okay, right. If something in between is constant, and from end and from beginning it is varying, you can use, say, input field is containing, say, MAI, something like this. Or if it is ending with, you can write like that the input field is ending with, you can put the dollar sign. Okay, that the input field is ending with this. These kinds of functions are also there in XPath. Okay, I will discuss about them. Fine. Not now, because as I told you, I have to take a shorter class today. Right, I have to go to a dentist. That is the problem. Since last night I am having some problem. I'll give you this, and I'll give you everything on the WebEx chat, whatever XPaths and all I have written. Okay, right. No, we can use this with XPath as well. I'll tell you tomorrow. Okay, I'll tell you tomorrow. Fine. Okay. So CSS selector is faster. Both of them are reliable. Okay. Right. Okay. Anybody with any questions? Yeah, tell me.